of the most in-demand jobs in the US and that employers can't currently fill, right? That's what, if we're looking for a new job. Now, you can also have a conversation with GPT about what are your strengths? What are the things that you like to do? And if you're an extreme introvert, you're probably not going to want to be in, well, that's not always true. There's a book called Quiet that says salespeople, introverts can make great salespeople, but you may not be comfortable if you're an extreme introvert going into a sales role where you have to meet lots of new people all the time, right? And so you can kind of describe yourself and what you like and what you are interested in, and then ask GPT, what are some in-demand jobs that will suit my preferences, and it'll do that for you. Now, I'm going to jump a little bit ahead of that, although if people want to get into that kind of conversation later on, I'm happy to go into it, and we could take a person from the audience if someone wants to, and go through what that conversation would look like. For now, I'm just going to say, what are some in-demand jobs in the United States that employers can't currently fill? And is product management one of them? I was pretty sure that it would be. And so healthcare professionals, IT specialists, which includes product management, software development, product managers are part of the software development process. And then skilled trades, carpenters, construction workers, building maintenance, which is interesting because a lot of a lot of the people that I've worked with in skilled trades are immigrants, and yet there's still a big demand for it, which tells me that the idea that immigrants are taking away all our jobs may not be exactly fact, because if immigrants are doing these jobs, but there's still lots of new jobs in those areas, maybe there are plenty of jobs for everybody. So, that said, product management is what I've done most of my career. And so I'm going to talk about that as far as a job to learn. I will also say this is a job that I not only know well from having done it, but I've taught, um, probably upwards of 40 or 50 people how to do this job through my product management bootcamp that I do through the FTI, which was a money loser for me. So I didn't have the time to continue to do it. But my goal was to help get people a valuable skill set, and I did do that for a lot of people. But basically, the stuff that I teach in the boot camp is way ahead of what ChatGPT has in it. But tonight I'm going to use what ChatGPT has about product management to sort of give an example of how I can learn to be a product manager. Does that make sense? Cool. So let's ask it. Give me the high level areas. Suppose that I want to be a product manager. What are the high level areas I would need to know about? Give me a list of the skills, the things I would need to know how to do. So what we're going to do is get a list of these things, and we're going to put it into an Excel spreadsheet, because one thing about GPT is it's never going to give you too long of an answer. And let's be honest, if this thing printed out 150 pages of everything you needed to know to be a product manager, would you really read them all? Probably not, right? Most people don't do that. If you were going to do that, you would probably just pick up a book on product management. Although, to be honest, I've read summaries of a lot of these books, and they're not all that great from what I could tell from the summaries. There aren't a lot of great books on product management that I've seen. Although I am a critic because I've been in the industry longer than the industry existed. I was a product manager back when I was a software developer in the 90s, and the role product manager didn't actually get created till 2001 with the Agile Manifesto. So first I should explain what a product manager is. So when you have a piece of software, I like to take the example of Google Docs because it's one of the pieces of software that I liked the most until generative AI came around. So in the example of Google Docs, I could open up this Google Doc so that all of you could have access to it and be able to make changes to it in real time. That is a specific feature that some product manager thought up and said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if everybody could edit this doc at the same time? And that enables what I call many tasking, which is where many people are working on one task at the same time, which is actually a huge performance increaser as opposed to multitasking, which we're all familiar with, and hopefully everyone knows that it's a really bad idea. People can't multitask well. There are lots of studies on this. I did a training on that at one of my former employers. People just can't multitask well. We're bad at it as human beings. We're very monofocused. And so some product manager said, "Hey, I think I should make an online version of Microsoft Excel that people can all edit at once." Right? It was a product manager's idea to do that probably. And what that product manager will do is work with the developers, make sure, actually, why don't I do this? Tell me. Why don't I use ChatGPT, right? So guiding a product's development, so you're defining the vision and strategy, that's right. You look at the market and you conduct research about whether or not the problem that you're trying to solve, you should always have a problem that you're trying to solve, whether or not the problem you're trying to solve is meaningful to people, and whether or not you have a solution that's actually going to be useful to people. And then you prioritize what needs to be done to help solve that problem in terms of software features, like I was talking about having multiple people be able to edit a spreadsheet at once is a feature, right? And software developers had to focus on that and make sure that that one thing was able to be done. Doing all the calculations within cells is another feature. And they had to decide what functions would be supported in Google Sheets because not everything in Excel could be done in Google Sheets when it was first created. And so all of that is about prioritizing what's called the product roadmap, which just means the list of features that need to be created. Like a lot of jobs, there's a whole vernacular that you need to learn as a product manager. None of this stuff is rocket science, but product roadmap, you have to know what that means. It just means a list of features. It's not complicated. And then we collaborate with all of the different people that need to get this done. It could be software engineers, it could be a QA team, it could be with marketing. It could be with sales. Like, how do I sell this product better? How do I market the product better? Working with customer support teams to align on messaging, training, and launch strategy. And then you're basically the go-to person if any questions come up about can the product do this or that? Will it eventually be able to do this or that? And here's the thing, here are the things that I want the product to be able to do. Can you make it happen eventually? This is what a product manager does. You manage the product throughout what's called the product development lifecycle, which means, from the very first time that a product launches all the way through to eventually products get retired and they get shut down when there aren't enough customers using them anymore. And the product manager manages all the way through that whole life cycle. There are different methodologies that product managers use, which we'll probably get into in a little bit. I'm not going to teach everyone how to be a product manager tonight. I'm just going to show you how you can like delve deeply so that you can learn, the skills that you need to do whatever job you're interested in doing or whatever job you and ChatGPT find is a good fit for you. And you'll ultimately get the decision, right, of whether or not you think that's good. ChatGPT will make recommendations, but you are the captain of your own ship. And then I'm going to keep going in what product managers do, setting KPIs for the product, like what metrics do you want to achieve, communicating with stakeholders, so telling senior management how things are going, making sure the whole team is in the loop on everything that's going on in terms of like when new features get rolled out. If you're in B2B, then you have to tell your customers when things get rolled out. That's called release notes. And then you launch the product. How do you go to market with that product? How do you get it in the hands of people who want to use it? And how do you get it in front of people who want to use it? And you're working with marketing and sales for all that. And then you adapt and iterate. You keep making improvements to the product so that ideally you become number one in the industry, which I did when I was at Market Share. I helped them become the number one product in the industry with the feedback I gave when I was on the product team there. And then you problem solve and make decisions. You're dealing with trade-offs between cost, quality, and time. Very true. Resolving conflicts, resource constraints, technical challenges. Most product managers are technical, two-thirds or three-fourths, but not all are. You don't have to be technical to be a product manager. We could ask ChatGPT that, and that's probably what it would tell us. So that said, I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet where I created a list of things that I need to do. And let's say, is there anything in this list? I'm going to go back to it. It's much better formatted in here. Is there anything on this list that people are interested in diving deeper on? I'm going to take requests. Out of the things that I just mentioned, is there anything people are interested in? Raise your hand if you have a particular area that you want to focus. No one has one. Okay, I could say user experience interviews, I think is go
Sorry, I
ahead.
have my hand, but I cannot make it up.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
Yana,
it's
what did you want to focus on?
I'm just curious because yesterday I had to miss the meeting named Enhance Dating, how AI enhances dating relationship dynamic.
We're not going
Help.
to cover that one yet, Yana, but
Oh, okay.
if we finish the presentation,
Okay.
I'm just asking for requests on product management and digging deeper into how to be a product manager. So let me just choose one
Oh,
for us.
okay.
Um, so
Okay. All right.
we can maybe cover that later in the conversation portion, Yana, if that's okay.
Oh,
Um,
yes, of course. Sorry. Yeah,
that's
sorry.
okay. I didn't communicate clearly. It was my fault. So, user experience, I think it's really always good to get user feedback. And this is something that I'm gonna hone in on because I would say a lot of people don't get feedback from their customers the way that they should. I think a lot of businesses run without getting enough feedback from customers. User experience is a lot about getting feedback from customers or prospective customers, and you work alongside designers who create pictures of what the app could look like. And sometimes you're presenting a mock-up. So I will guarantee you that before this UI that we're seeing here was built, someone did a mock-up of exactly this, where the individual GPTs are on the upper left, my conversations are over here in the bottom left, that there's yesterday and previous 7 days, and all of this was mocked up in look and feel designs that were shown to prospective customers before they were actually used. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hone in on what's called user experience, and I'm going to say, well, how do we get feedback from a customer? And so we can just simply take, because we don't know, if I'm pretending to be a person that wants to learn about product management, I don't know much about this. So I'm just going to say, what does understand basic UX UI principles and work with designers mean? Prioritize. Oh, actually, I'm going to do conduct usability testing to improve product iterations. So I have no idea how to conduct usability testings and improve product interactions. How can I do that? And then this is going to create a new list of things that I need to do, and it'll identify what do you want to learn. And so it'll say focus on specific features, workflows, areas that you need clarity. For example, can your product users navigate the product easily? Did they understand how to use the features that are there? I'll tell you, a lot of software has features that no one ever uses, and they don't get deprecated. They don't get removed. Sorry, I shouldn't use technical terms, but they don't get removed from the software because no one like realizes that no one's using them, or they don't realize that not enough people are using them. And so a lot of times people don't know what parts of the software are being used as effectively as they should. So, the first thing you want to know is you should have a goal for trying to talk with a customer. If you're going to talk with a customer, you have to know what you want to accomplish first. Then what's your success criteria look like? For example, do you want the user, complete a task? Well, I could give an example with Plate Rate is I may want a customer to be able to buy their food at a restaurant. Plate Rate is my for-profit company, which is where I spend most of my time, to be honest. And so maybe I want someone to be able to find Marcello's Ristorante, which is our test restaurant and our test environment, and we want them to be able to successfully order their food. And we want to know, was it easy or hard, and what would make it easier. And then you have to select the right participants. So choose people who resemble your target users to get relevant insights. I always started with friends and family, quite frankly. And then, I went to coffee shops and I would ask people for feedback, and I'd buy them a scone or a coffee. And I'd say, hey, I'll buy you a coffee if you give me 10 minutes of feedback. And most people are willing to do that. And two-thirds of them don't even want the coffee, but I had no problem buying people coffee or scones or whatever they want for giving me feedback. And then there are sites online that you can buy, buy people that will perform tasks for you. I really prefer the in-person interaction of talking to people whenever possible. Although during coronavirus that wasn't possible, so we did everything online. And then prepare tasks for the participant. So this says to create a list of tasks that you want the user to complete, like add an item to your cart. Like I was saying, I want you to be able to buy crab cakes, an order of crab cakes from Marcello's Ristorante, right? And then they have to go in, they have to see if they can find Marcello's Ristorante in Suffern, New York, and see if they can add the crab cakes and buy them successfully. And then you want to keep the instruction clear, but avoid giving hints that would lead the user to the solution, because that will bias results. That's an important point. But it's actually, this is really impressive levels of detail for something that, a lot of people get this stuff wrong. Like if you do just this stuff, you're ahead of probably like 50 to 60% of product managers just off the bat. If you actually do what ChatGPT is saying, because so many people don't do a lot of the stuff that we're talking about right now. And I think you'll find that with most jobs. Like if you actually understand what should be done in the job and you do the things that should be done in the job, you're ahead of most people. Now, mind you, this is still a ways behind what I teach in the FTI software, the product management boot camp, but it's very, very good. So choose your testing methodology. You and a facilitator guide the session, either in person or virtually, and ask questions in real time or unmoderated, where they do it on an independent platform. And you could decide, well, what are the pros and cons, right? So let's take an example like this. Well, how do I know which one to do when? So I'm going to copy and paste this and just say, how do I know which one to use when? Give me a pro and con of each. And then I add those two things. So now it gives me a pro and con of moderated testing versus unmoderated testing. And now I have a better idea of when to use each one. You can see that you can go to the nth degree of detail. Like ChatGPT will never really run out of answers. It can answer just about any question you can imagine. If good information is available on the internet, it has answers to those questions. So let's go through this quickly. Unmoderated testing is scalable and cost effective because you can test with many users simultaneously, reducing the time and resources needed for each session. It has natural user behavior because it's them behaving as they normally would, which can yield realistic results, especially for straightforward tasks. But it gives you limited insight because you can't ask follow-up questions. That's definitely a big negative of using these online systems, that you give someone a task and then they just have to complete it, and then there's less control over your environment. It's a very strict like thing because you're usually paying by the user, by the time. You're paying by the, what we say, by the drink, in the software world, where you're paying by the amount of usage. Now, moderated testing, I skipped past, allows you to ask clarifying questions on the spot, which is great. I really like that because you can observe users thinking, like, and ask them to think out loud. And I always tell users this when I give them, that's like very interesting that it puts this there, because it's one of the things I always tell users is, hey, I want you to pretend I'm not here and tell me exactly what's going through your head with no filter. Just tell me exactly what's going through your head. So you want them to think out loud, and that really helps you get an understanding of where the user is coming from. It helps you empathize with them to see, like, gosh, I really don't know what to do on this second screen here. Like, I see a bunch of cuisines on the second screen, but I'm not sure what I should search for. Is it for restaurants? Is it for food, etc.? And I could give you an example of a screen where I'm saying that I'm acting like you guys know my UI, but you don't. So, but you get the idea, is that helping people um, sort of articulate what they're thinking out loud can be really valuable when you're trying to learn their perspective. Now, the downside is that it's much more resource intensive, because you need to facilitate it. So it's slower, and there is a potential for bias because the moderator can influence participants' actions. And sometimes people will do something if they're being watched, but they wouldn't do it if they're not being watched. Um, so those are really great pro cons of moderated testing versus unmoderated. Then I'm going to go back up here to choose your testing method. You see observe and record interactions. You take notes, look at the obstacles they face, watch if they're struggling with anything, because that helps you understand that people aren't sure what they're supposed to do at that point. And you can even ask participants, and here's again, ask participants to think out loud, and then ask follow-up questions like, what did you what did you expect to happen when you clicked on that button? This is a great question to ask. And I don't think people ask it enough. What would make this task easier? That's another great question to ask. Like ChatGPT just throws this stuff out there as if, oh, this is easy, right? And when you see it, you may think, oh, this is just whatever. But this is really, really good advice that people who have years in the industry are not doing all the time and should be doing more often. Um, and so you want to avoid leading questions. That's a big deal because if you say, what's a good example of a leading question? Was it, was it hard to check out? Then you're kind of leading with that it was hard for them to check out. So you're kind of planting the seed with them that it was hard to check out. Whereas you don't want to do that. You want to ask, what was it like checking out? And then then they'll give their opinion, or you can say, was it easy or hard to check out? Or was it easier or harder than the way that you normally check out? Is probably the best way to ask it because it then benchmarks with other systems that they're used to using. And then you analyze the results, you look for patterns, common frustrations, you quantify certain metrics, like how long does it take to do certain tasks? It takes 5 minutes for people to order, it takes 3 minutes for people to order. If you can get your, food ordering app to go from 5 minutes to order to 3 minutes to order, you've just saved people a lot of time and you've probably sold a lot more food. And you look for trends, you look for points where users' expectations weren't met. Where were people unhappy? Um, and you want to turn insights into actionable improvements. So when people are confused, you want to come up with a solution. And you'll say, look, people on this homepage were confused. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to enter in. And I'm going to give an example of a UI so that we can talk about something tangible. People could say, oh, well, I didn't know what to do on this homepage, right? Which hopefully we don't get very often because it says enter your address. But some people go, well, which address am I supposed to enter, right? There is some confusion there. I won't go into why we still say enter your address instead of enter your home address. But there is a reason that I won't delve into unless people want to know. But that's an example of like maybe that's confusing for people, and we could clarify situations like that. And then we brainstorm as a team how to address those issues. I think this is a really important part. And again, this will put you ahead of a lot of product managers who really want to solve the problem themselves. A lot of product managers say, well, I'm the decision maker. I'm going to decide how to do this without input from anyone else. That's not the right way to do things. I'm a big fan of collaborative learning and working together as a team and brainstorming together and getting everybody's thoughts on the page and on the table, basically. And this will put you ahead of a lot of the ego-driven product managers who think that they're the best ones to make every decision and they want to make all the decisions themselves. And then you iterate and retest. So you make changes in the mockups or in the software, and then you test again. So now we've gone from very high level, what job should I be in? All right, technology jobs, software, product management, and now I'm learning all of the individual skills to be a product manager. And if you noticed, I'm going back and forth. It's easy to go back and forth like this, but the reason I put it into a spreadsheet is because you're going to lose track, right? And you're going to want to, add rows where you want more notes, and you'll want to be able to go back and forth between a spreadsheet or a Google Doc or something like that so you can keep track of the areas you still need to learn about. I also really recommend putting things into practice and practicing, even if it means volunteering with a company and just spending some time to get your skills sharp in that area. So I'm curious if there are any questions, if this was helpful to people. Do you kind of see how you can use GPT from this to teach yourself how to do a job of your choice?
Yeah, this is very helpful for sure. even though I'm not looking for a job or anything, but
Okay, I'm not either, but I still like to teach other
yeah,
people who might be. So,
yeah.
Yeah, that was really helpful. I am looking for other fields that I might want to go into, and this really helped break down how to analyze um, every aspect of the job to see how I can actually do the job performing.
Michael?
yeah,
Yes,
go ahead. I'm gonna write. You kind of
I
reminded me of something. Is it Nerissa? Am I saying that okay?
Yep, exactly right.
Okay, cool. So Nerissa kind of reminded me of like, wouldn't it be fun to talk about how to get from who I am as a person to some jobs that might be good for me, for people that are, career transition or even starting from out of college. But Michael, go ahead with your question, and I'm going to keep typing and try to listen and see if I can multitask, even though I said no one can.
well, this is not a question, it's more of a comment. And my field is not industrial at all. I'm a dentist, but I have found that I can use actually a periodontist. I've found that I can use ChatGPT and AI to give me ideas about diagnosis, treatment planning, clinical successes, clinical failures, information I would have to really search through the literature for. And it's really been helpful as a chairside friend in my practice. So it has many, many dimensions.
Mm. And if I can follow up on that, it's kind of what I forget who. Oh, actually, it was Sona who was asking about AI replacing our jobs. And I heard many people saying that AI will replace most jobs, but it will not replace people who know how to use most jobs with ChatGPT.
That
You know,
exactly what I was saying before, right?
yeah,
Which is exactly what I
yeah.
said at the beginning, which is
So
20 years from
yeah,
now, people aren't going to do any jobs without generative AI. Every job that people
right.
are will be, I'm doing this job with generative AI. And what you reminded me of, Carl, was there was someone that was talking about that, copywriters, right? Well, think about how good ChatGPT is at copywriting. It's really, really good. Well, copywriters are going to be out of a job now. Well, no, because if you're smart and you're a copywriter, what you're going to do is you're going to charge, you know, a third of what you charge today, and you're going to have 10 times as many clients because you'll just use ChatGPT to do your copywriting.
Yeah,
And you're going to still do it better because you know the job well, and you'll use ChatGPT to be able to do the job in a tenth the time. You're going to make twice as much money, and you're going to be charging a third what you used to charge. And the people who adopt, yeah, and I'm gonna be a geek here and I think I forget the exact quote because I'm not enough of a geek, but it's like um adapt or you will be assimilated. It was the Borg quote from like the Star
yeah,
Trek when in the 90s, right? It's like
yeah,
adapt or you will be assimilated. And that's kind of what this is like. Like
yeah,
adapt to, generative AI or you're gonna be left in the dust.
yeah.
Michael, do you
Absolutely.
go ahead.
Or
Michael, did
maybe
you have a
Michael
question?
didn't lower his hand.
Okay.
That
Sona, how are you?
Yeah, there is one thing that we didn't discuss
Yeah.
is the fact that it's not the information in the GPT is again the free version that I have. I realized sometimes it's staying 2 days, and one day it was like after 1 hour, it's no longer there, the information. So it's disappearing, the history, I mean, that for with the free version it disappeared. Carl is saying no, I'm
no, I
realizing
mean
it is now.
I'm using the free version, and was actually shocked at how much history it saves. I mean, it
Okay,
goes all the way back. I'm like, damn.
maybe I'm talking too much, that's why it's not. retaining, I'm spending a lot of time. Maybe that's the reason. So
maybe
I'm assuming, yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, Garrett, like you're recommending that, when we're doing like, it's like a project, I have to start a business. If you don't do another follow-up, but put it on Excel and know what are you doing, just by doing research is like, it doesn't make sense. Like, you have really to create a portfolio of what you are doing.
Right.
That's your point. And as far as the history, Carl says he doesn't. In my case, I lost information. Right now, I'm downloading. There is a way you can forward the information. Once again, my question is, the one with that you pay, does it retain longer the information in the history?
So when you pay, you can actually create what's called a custom GPT, which basically retains your information, I believe, indefinitely, although it's possible it'll lose knowledge if you don't type anything in it for 60 days. I haven't tested that, but I can tell you that when I use the APIs and I connect programmatically to GPT and I build my own AI stuff on top of GPT, if you don't use one of the sessions for 60 days, it loses memory. So unless you do technical stuff to bring it back, which I know how to do, but there is a point at which the APIs can lose, or the system may lose memory, but I don't know that custom GPTs ever lose memory. I would imagine they keep them persistent indefinitely.
I see, because one thing that
Go ahead,
I
Sana.
realized, sorry, Garrett, I
No, go ahead.
interrupted you. One thing that I realized, if I'm asking a question and the way I'm constructing my sentence, I get a specific answer. All of a sudden, this answer, which is extremely interesting to me, the next day I ask the same question because my construction is different. What I had yesterday, I don't have it today. And I'm not able to get what I want because of the way I constructed my sentence.
Right.
That's why history. Yes, the history is important. Like, I think not only for me,
Right. Yeah,
It is important.
What you're talking about, Sona, is prompting, and prompt engineering is probably 80% of the benefit you're using from ChatGPT. And by the way, you can actually ask ChatGPT to help you prompt better, and it will. So
yeah, ChatGPT will teach you how to use ChatGPT better. I mean, it'll teach you how to do everything better. And I wrote in, like, suppose that I'm an ambivert. Oh, the other thing I wanted to answer for you, that you made a really important point. And I'm sorry, I'm blanking on your name that was just speaking.
Sona.
I don't know where she went in my screen, but I think but anyways, another important point that Sona just made is that you need to practice the skills as you learn them. You can't just put it all in your brain and expect yourself to remember it later. That's why I recommend, finding a place that you can volunteer, like, as, doing the job that you want to do. And even if you're just volunteering just to, like, practice the skills, it's beneficial, even if you do it part-time, because you get to put those skills into practice and you'll learn them much better when you put them into practice. And for people looking to do that in, like, software jobs or, in any role, feel free to reach out to me if I have, either company that I'm a part of or someone that I can point you to. I'm happy to do that. But that's something that I would recommend, is put the skills into practice, because if you don't use it, you lose it. So I put in, I'm an ambivert with a strong background in technology, with a few years as an entrepreneur, looking for a job that makes me money while meeting new people, at least 100,000 a year, and not be stuck at a desk. What are some in-demand jobs that help me leverage my skill set? Technical sales or solution engineer, that's a good option. Product management is another one, good option. Customer success management is a good option. Technology consultant, to help small businesses use technology more effectively. Business development manager at tech firms, which is basically sourcing, finding people that want to build software, and helping use your team to build software for them. So, useful in that regard as well. So for those people, a couple of people mentioned looking at career transitions. Tell GPT who you are, what you know, what your skill set is. You can even, with the paid version, I don't know if this is with the free, but you can upload your resume and say, this is my resume. Why don't you tell me what I should, and here's my interest areas, and this is what I want to accomplish. This is the money I want to make. Help me understand what I can do to be able to accomplish that. And it will give you answers if there are
Yeah,
any.
I believe the free version allows you to add files. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. It didn't used to, but I've been on the paid version for so long that I don't know what the free one does anymore. Jenny, you have your hand up.
Yeah, you used an example of copywriting as one of the jobs that may disappear, that you would not be able to do because of ChatGPT. What is copywriting? I'm just trying to.
So it's
Is
like
it, is that,
choosing the right words. So let me
is
So
that what you do
I
in
can answer that
advertising
if you
or in
want.
law firms
Yeah,
or
so
in
Jenny,
law?
whenever you see an ad or any kind of copy on a website that sells a product, that's copywriting.
so like right here
So
it says
advertising.
try top rated dishes, eat, rate, and earn up to 60%. So it took us a long time to summarize what plate rate does into those two phrases, right? And
Mm.
that's what copywriting is. Now, if I took my plate rate GPT, I'm kind of curious what it would say. I have a specific GPT for plate rate, and I will try to find it. Let me actually go to it here. Plate rate internal GPT, and I'll say, what are some brief phrases that I should put on plate rates? This is for restaurants, but here it gives a bunch of different options. Um,
I would put in like, what would be the unique selling proposition of this company?
So it came up with pretty close stuff. Earn up to 60% back on your next meal for trying top-rated dishes. Discover new favorites and get rewarded for every bite, And so this is copywriting, copy editing, like copywriting is like what are the phrases that should be on a homepage? And I will tell you when I started the company, I had people that wanted to charge me $20,000 to do this on my website. $20,000. I was like, no, I'm sorry. I'm going to do that myself. And I'm going to ask people for feedback. I did a lot of UX interviews, and I think we came up with something pretty good, which ChatGPT, and you see how quickly it knows all the information about plate rate. Its first choice was more or less the same thing that we came up with after years of, agonizing over what to put on the homepage. ChatGPT's first choice was pretty much the same thing. So I would love, that's kind of the end of the presentation portion. So now we usually try to keep the presentation to under an hour. I was just under an hour, actually less than that. I was about 45 minutes because we started 15 minutes late. But I would love, for people to ask questions. If people want to go into new use cases in GPT, I'm happy to do that as well. So whatever people want to cover, it's kind of if you raise your hand, you get what you want. It's like GPT, just ask and you'll get an answer. I might even use GPT to give the answer, but I'll try to give it myself if I can too.
Yeah, you can actually philosophize with it, like
You can.
make it
In
sound
fact,
pretty.
we have a ChatGPT for the Free Thinker Institute where I've uploaded all of my 200 and something essays, and it will answer questions like, do we have free will or not? If you ask ChatGPT, it
Really?
doesn't answer that. Do we have free will? And it'll say, well, it's really not, we don't know, is what ChatGPT will say. I think I have a very good answer. So if you go to the FTI community wisdom. Oh, that's not what I want. Um,
By the way, I was checking my history, and it goes all the way back to like 2023, so like about over a year.
that's pretty far.
Yeah, and I'm the free version.
All right, so let me open it up here. This is
Can
the
I
Free
just
Thinkers Coupon.
remind something
Yeah.
to because I'm in HR, there is one thing that I'm going to kind of tell the people who are participating right now, that this is an example that I'm giving, that you can use it for other things also. Okay, this is the example. I have a young man who needed a CV for developing apps, okay? So I asked the GPT, it gave back an excellent CV. I was like overwhelmed, okay? The young kid was so happy. This is the point. If you, the mistake is the CV is an example that I'm giving. You could use something else in your personal life with your job. You cannot fool the companies by taking a CV made by GPT, because they're going to have 500 CVs that are exactly the same for app developers. If you do not personalize that whatever GPT is giving to you, you're fooling yourself that GPT is doing 100% the job for you. So anything you're doing, you have to think about that you're not alone in this. Other people are doing it. You have to make sure that it's being personalized.
Yeah. So, I mean, the way to look at it, I mean, I agree with you, Sona. You'd have to be almost a fool to believe. I mean, it is amazingly smart, but it's still, you got to look at it as a co-pilot, to steal, Microsoft's term, but it's kind of like a personal assistant, right? So it's suggesting things for you. You still have to put your own spin into it, like all this
Totally.
comes up that it asks me, oh, please help me write this particular email for something, right? That was kind of like a specific something that was a little complex. And I would read it and go, oh, this is good. Oh, this is good. Oh, no, I'm not going to say that, right? So it's like I still went through it and rewrote it, but it was a lot of help to get like points and stuff. So think of it more as a creative assistant.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's an assistant. It's not 100% replacement.
No, it's
Right.
not a replacement. It's a tool, just like anything. A gun is a tool, and, guns created the independence of the United States of America originally, right? Along with clandestine warfare, right? Like, so that's a tool. Now, theoretically, these days, since history is written by the conquerors, and I kind of, I won't go into the pros and cons of what coulda, woulda, shoulda, but now we look at it as, that was freedom fighters, and guns are a tool that can be used for good or bad, right? You can use it to keep people safe and to prevent people from, causing crimes, or you can use it to kill people that are innocent, right? And GPT is a tool, and it's a tool that, if misused, can give a lot of bad information. There was a lawyer who asked ChatGPT to come up with case law that supported his case, and he pushed it too hard, and it came up with case law. It's just that the case law wasn't real. ChatGPT totally made it up because the guy pushed him to get it. And you can't push GPT to do stuff. You have to like work with it. And so it's kind of a little bit like a person. If you pressure a person too hard to tell them, oh, you got to do this, you got to do this, they may do it, but they're going to resent it, and it's not going to be what they actually want, and they may not give you the right answers if you're pressuring them too much. So this is an example of, I asked ChatGPT on the Freethinker Institute bot, do we have free will? And it gave basically a good summary of my argument that we have free will. Now, if I said, but Lang doesn't think we have free will, you're wrong. Let's see what it says. And see, now it's shifting, and it's saying his writings indicate that he defends it, albeit through a complex and evolving process, which actually isn't really in my essay. So now it's kind of making stuff up to try to make you feel less bad for being wrong, right? And so it's trying to like gloss over things and try to like step back away from like, no, he says determinism is right. Look, now it says Garrett Lang indeed argues. Oh, okay. No, this time
No, it says it actually keeps saying the right thing.
it does. it used to give in. So it's interesting. I think they've evolved it to be a little
It's
more
getting
strong-willed.
smarter.
Yeah, it's getting more strong-willed. It used to, and I haven't tried it with my own work. Like, I don't use this very often because I wrote all the stuff. So I did test it before I launched it, but I haven't used it extensively. So I would love for people's feedback if they use this. It's in the document that I shared. But I would love other questions or like topics that people want to delve
Actually,
into.
one member actually who's no longer in the meeting because he had to go to bed, but he wanted to ask you if you use any other AIs.
I do. Let me actually show one. Although the problem is I can't play the audio on here. Let me just learn more about the FTI. Oh, good. Good to see you, Esty. So there are other AIs that I use. Let me pause the screen for a minute and pull something up.
Yeah, sorry. I see. I was trying to look through the members and realize you may have left. I didn't see you, but good that you're.
Let me.
This is amazing to me.
Isn't it incredible, Jenny? It's like
Yeah.
we live in very, very interesting times. Like what's possible is just unfathomable. I did not think so. If anyone's not familiar with the Turing test, the idea of a Turing test came up with in like I think the 50s. Alan Turing was like a famous one of the founders of the modern
Of course, the
computer.
movie was made. What was that movie that was? Oh, that was an
Something
amazing film.
game. The something
Yeah,
game.
that's right.
Imitation game.
What's it called?
The imitation game.
Imitation Game.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't watch the movie, but I know about his history well since I was a CS guy, and you know, very unfortunate end to his life. But he said like if a computer can simulate a human to the extent that a human interacting with the computer doesn't know that it's a computer and thinks that it's a human, then that's called passing the Turing test. When I was in Cornell's computer science program, I did not think that, you know, I was an AI specialist, by the way, so I knew the field to the degree that it was, you know, it existed. Like I knew what there, you know, a lot of the stuff there was to know at the undergrad level for computer science. And I did not think there was any way that the Turing test would be passed in my lifetime. Well, not only does ChatGPT pass the Turing test, in a study comparing GPT as a customer support agent versus human customer support agents, GPT was considered to be more human than the humans. That's not passing the Turing test, it's blowing it away. It's blowing it away. And so, you know, and it's always patient, it's always polite, it doesn't lose its temper. There are lots of really good things about it, but there are also dangers and it has to be used the right way. Trying to find, oh, here it is. So let me see if I can I wonder if there's a way that I can put this through my speakers. This is a video. I'll just I wonder you know what I can do? I can connect with my phone real quick and I'll put the phone volume on. So bear with me a second. I want to show you guys this. This literally took me no joke about 2 minutes to do. I asked someone who was a corporate executive how much he thought it cost me to make this thing, and he guessed about $3,000. It took me 2 minutes and it was free.
Oh, it's like an AI that makes video?
Yes, it's
Wow.
exactly right.
So what would you use it for? Do you use it to make ads for your
You'll
company?
see, I'm using it. I'm gonna
this is the first.
Hold on one second.
All right, so
we still got feedback. Let everybody mute yourselves except
No, it's not them, it's me. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. I have the let's see if this works or if it's going to echo.
Can't you just share your screen of the video? No?
No, because the sound won't come through. I'm trying to get the sound to come through.
Oh,
Why
right. Won't the sound come through?
Yeah, let's try this.
on his time.
margins are thin, and third-party ordering systems take huge commissions, eating into your profits. But what if there was a better way? A way that not only costs less, but actually makes introducing the only
But we can't see the video.
Oh.
And there's a lot of feedback too.
I know what I can do. Hang on one second.
You know what, Garrett? I mean, I do presentations where I have clips and the video shows up. I mean, the sound comes up too. I think there's when you share your screen, there's a couple of check boxes at the bottom where you can say share video and audio.
Margins are thin, and third-party ordering systems.
Oh, that works.
Eating into your profits. But what if there was a better way? A way that not only costs you less, but actually pays you to take online orders. Introducing PlateRate, the only ordering system that charges zero commission, helps you boost customer loyalty by up to 70%. With PlateRate, diners can earn credits by trying your top-rated menu items, encouraging them to come back again and again. On average, restaurants using PlateRate see 69% more orders per customer, leading to more loyal customers and higher profits. And here's the best part. PlateRate only charges a 2% credit card fee, no monthly fees, no hidden costs. You even get paid a share of the convenience fees from every new customer you bring in. Ready to grow your business? Sign up with PlateRate today and take your restaurant to the next level without the high cost of other platforms. Visit Platerate.com or call 833-PlateRate.
Wow. That looked like you hired a whole advertising agency and everything.
Sorry. So let me get off here on the phone. Sorry for the technical issues.
So Jeannie's mind is even more blown right now.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like I hired an entire video staff to, to shoot a video, and $3,000 would have been cheap for that 2 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, you have to hire the advertising agency, the actors, the production crew. I mean, we're talking about 6 figures for an ad.
Yeah. And this took me, you saw there were a few technical issues that pronounced PlateRate wrong once, and it said almost 70% increase in loyalty, and then it says 69% again. In a 1-minute video, I don't want to repeat the same statistic twice, but that was because I literally just copy and pasted what I got out of ChatGPT into this video creator, which is called InVideo AI. I should be an affiliate for them because they're great, and I've got sent them a bunch of business because I really like them. Out of the video, text to video creators that I found, that was the one that I liked the best. Mind you, the horses are running very fast in this race, and who's in the lead changes all the time in AI. So, but it does pretty incredible stuff. I also did a short video of a unicorn for my daughters. It can do lots of different stuff. The unicorn wasn't super impressive, but it impressed my 7-year-old. So
it could even clone yourself. So you could actually give like 10 seconds of you talking, and then it will clone you. And then all you have to do is put some text, and it'll be you talking the way I'm talking right now.
Yes, it will clone your voice. It will clone your voice. I decided when I saw that, I'm like, I don't need everyone to hear my voice.
Oh, no, Garrett, no, not your voice, yourself.
Oh, your actual
like me. Like if I was talking right now, I could be actually doing something else, and this would be an AI right now that looks like me, that feels like I'm live, that I'm talking, but it would be a script. So a lot of people, like the use cases, like YouTubers are using this a lot for their shorts and stuff. All they have to do is plug in their text, their script, and then they show up, and it looks all like,
I think this is why I'm a member of Screen Actors Guild, SAG-AFTRA, and there's a lot of discussion about the use of AI, and that's why we're
Hollywood,
concerned.
And the writers too. That's what the writers were striking over.
And they had a very good reason for striking. I really supported them, and I'm glad they won, is my understanding, because what the movie makers were trying to do is take the likeness of an actor and use it sort of without paying the actor, use that actor's likeness to create videos And yeah, they're not paying the actor at all. And so, look, if you want to use AI, cool, use AI, but don't take a person's image and use that to make it seem like it's, Nick Nolte in a video, but actually it's not. It's AI generated Nick Nolte, and we're not paying Nick Nolte anything for this. I don't know why that name came to me, but whatever.
And I just did a commercial audition, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, they don't even have to have, they didn't even have to audition actors. They could just create whatever they wanted on their own. I'm thinking, wow, this is scary. You know.
Yeah, and Essie was asking if it costs money to create. And I think Ozan was asking whether or not it was created from scratch, if I read it correctly. Was that your question, Ozan? Yeah, so it was created from scratch. I literally had nothing but text. And what I did is I typed into the plate rate internal ChatGPT. I said, create a script for a 1 minute promotional video for plate rate to restaurants. I literally copy and pasted the script. It took probably 10 seconds to put the output. I copy and pasted the script in the InVideo AI. This was literally the first video that I made for plate rate, and it took me literally under a minute, because I have a ChatGPT for plate rate, and I just copy and pasted the script into InVideo AI, and it created that. So, and it took a couple minutes to generate the video, less than 5, but pretty impressive stuff that you can do, just with a very small budget. Ozan, you had a question?
Yeah. So I just moved to Cape Cod from Cambridge,
Welcome.
and I was looking for jobs, and I am like, something I should do, and it should always, since like it's been 7 years I've been in the United States, and I always strike for something has to be obviously visionary, and also something has to catch the like next 3, 4 waves of the industries that I can be actively in the leading or doing my things. And I was seeking for these kind of things. And I sit down and I'm being using ChatGPT for what should I do? Like I'm asking the questions. Like that's a great chat, obviously. It's a great friend too. And I'm like telling, I like to do this. Let's say I enjoy physics, I enjoy literature, I enjoy different things, and try to combine some kind of ideas to me. It's like designer or whatever it is, just coming and coming. And after this, I'm like, I just need like-minded people that gonna go into the same home as an office, live together or whatever is you can name it. And then I just need to talk to them, ideas, and then bring it to life, just sitting on a table like a couple of hours and then enjoy our lives, and then that enjoyment gonna be the input next session, because when you work on some projects, that doesn't work for me. It doesn't actually work in the name of sense of all the traditional ideas. As I studied like literature and different things, everything is nonsense to me. When I was started as a student, I was very skeptical in everything because they taught me first, hey, you have to be skeptical. And it didn't work out, honestly. It didn't give me anything. And I'm like, still, I'm taking as a personal philosophy, never-ending continuous improvement for my life. So it has to be, I don't know, some kind of connection that I can create. I'm at that point, but this was a great, yeah, great input. And
Thanks,
I'm
Ozan.
glad that I'm
Reach
into
out
it.
to me. I put my play rate email in the chat. If you want to join a visionary food tech company, reach out to me. We can talk.
Sure. Yeah, I'm down.
Garrett, is Plate the visionary food tech company?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're only at the very beginning, and we're gonna do some incredible stuff. I can't talk about most of it, but what we already have is visionary compared to what else is in the industry. But where we're going is, like
It's
people
all right.
what if someone copies everything you're doing? And I'm like, it's okay, I'm gonna out innovate them. So I have no problem. Like, I hope that they don't, but like I can't control whether or not people do. I have patents, one patent awarded, I have another patent in process, but I'm going to out innovate anyone that copies me, and I'm going to win through generosity, because the one place other people, my competitors, can't go is being as generous as I am. We're better for diners, and we're better for restaurants than anyone else in the industry. And I'd like to think that if, I like to joke with people, would you rather do business with a generous company or a greedy one? And so far, no one has said the greedy one. So I hope that we'll win in the
Shocking.
What's that?
Shocking.
I know, shocking, right? But the irony is that all the companies out there are greedy. So not all of them, like I said, Costco, Patagonia, there are a few that are generous. And I
Yeah.
like to support those few because as consumers, we get to decide. I held an event in New York City about how we can do the most good in the world. And my hypothesis is simply by researching which companies are ethical and which companies are unethical in each area of our lives, which none of us really spend the time to do. I don't want to say none because I have, spent a bit of
Right.
time, but very few people spend the time to do. But if we all buy from more ethical companies that are more generous, then we'll literally drain the coffers and take away the business from the greedy companies, and we're going to give it to the generous ones. And then boom, capitalism is serving everybody instead of serving the few.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
I find that, Garrett, it's buying from ethical businesses. It has to do a lot with the personality. If you're an ethical person, you are attracted to those places. Like personally, when I walk in somewhere and the energy is very heavy, I just can't stay there. I leave.
Yeah.
So it has to do also that if you're not ethical, you're not even going to think about it. Unfortunately, that's how it functions, the world. We cannot force people. Either you are or you're not. Maybe I'm
Well,
a little bit black and white thinker, but
yeah.
I do, at my age, I'm in my 50s, and I thought I don't have a gray side, but I do see that, it's just like that. If you're not an ethical person, you don't have this the nice values of life, it's impossible to change people. How can I have a gray part in my life when a person doesn't have the values of like a normal person or the ethical, it's sometimes it's hard to have that gray part in a human being.
Yeah, Sona, I suspect that you're a spiritual person and you're in touch with like kind of that, positive energy versus negative energy. And you can feel that when you go into a business. I think most people aren't as in touch with I would argue we all have an innate sense of what's right and wrong. And I think a lot of us in our lives get steered in so many directions that we lose track of that innate sense of right and wrong. And we have misunderstandings. And part of what the Freethinker Institute is about is helping people find our own innate sense of what's right and wrong using our own critical thinking skills and teaching people the critical thinking skills to better discern fact from fiction and wisdom from folly so that we all will have our own north on the ethical compass that we can follow. And I would argue that if people follow the five intentions, which is a lot of what I just described, Sona, I think we would all agree way more often than we do today. I think what happens is people get emotional, they stop thinking rationally, and they immediately get defensive rather than listening to people they disagree with. And I think if we listen to each other with empathy and we have really deep, intelligent conversations about things that are meaningful with an attempt to listen first and talk less, then we will learn from each other and we'll be more aligned than you would initially think.
So you believe that some people, to me, I always say if the person doesn't have the intention to listen to the other, you can spend years. They will not. That's my experience anyways. It's just
Yeah,
because
so you're
some
you're
people,
totally
yeah.
right. So the second intention of the Freethinker Institute, you're kind of leading me into this, Sona. I hope you don't mind me indulging, but is
No,
to
no, I
share.
can talk forever.
Yeah, it's all right. This is dialogue now, right? We're done with the presentation, so we can talk with each other. And if people have particular questions, raise your hand and we'll put you on. But basically, the second intention is to transparently share our beliefs with other people and to listen with an open mind to when that person might be sharing something that when we use our critical thinking skills, which are about the third intention, is honing our critical thinking skills, when that person shares something that helps us get closer to truth to help us get closer to achieving our potential or being the best version of ourselves or gets closer to fairness, we should listen to them with an open mind. And I would argue that, whether you're from the right, the left, the center, whether you're from, Europe or America or Australia or Asia or, Antarctica, pretty much every reasonable person will agree with those things. And it's only through dialogue can we have discussions about specific topics and understand each other's perspective better. But if I share transparently with you, Sona, and you share transparently with me, and we're both listening with an open mind, then we're going to learn from each other. Even if we just learn why you came up with your opinion and why I came up, and you understand why I came up with my opinion, we're still learning from each other, even if we don't agree with each other. But far better to learn from each other and agree to disagree than get angry and indignant and say the other person is a bad person, or, worse, a lot of what's going on is dehumanizing other people, right? And saying they are less than or worse than because of their beliefs.
I came up with a
Thanks,
way
Ceci.
that I protect myself by doing that. It's by having compassion. That's it. And it stops there, because if I don't develop compassion right now, because I do come from a family where we have a lot of trauma. I come from a family where we had genocide. And, I look at Ozan right now. He's from Turkey, and I'm Armenian. So I know that Ozan and I were supposed to be enemies, but I don't look at Ozan as an enemy. I know that he has a different energy, Ozan, and I can feel it, his energy. I know that.
He looks like he's looking at you with enemy eyes. I'm not.
He's not. He is not.
Are you sure about that, Sona?
No, he's not.
You're lucky you're on Zoom.
Carl, that was
Ozan
not the time to crack a joke. Sona, he's joking with you.
He has a soft energy, Ozan, and he's very open to discuss anything. I can feel his energy and the way. Unfortunately, I'm not going to say fortunately, I have this excessive feeling of the energy of people, I can literally, I can have panic attacks around someone who has bad energy. Ozan doesn't have that. And he's Turkish. I know from his first and last name, and I'm an Armenian. But I don't have that hate, that anger towards Ozan right now. But I do come from a genocidal family, So I am learning at my 50s to direct my anger towards compassion, towards, removing the hate, because hate is making me miserable.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn. And I'm hoping that, before I die, I'm going to achieve some peace. I'm working hard on it.
That's great, Sona. You should really consider joining the FTI as a member. I'm going to put the link for potential membership, so people can learn more about membership.
I want to answer that, actually.
Ozan, I think
Go
you
ahead,
would like
Ozan.
it too.
Go ahead, Ozan. I do like your energy. I don't care if you're Turkish or not, but your energy speaks volume.
Thank you. I've never let people to teach me things, honestly, because of I'm coming from actually a minority in Turkey too. It's a very rich soil, and it's kind of complex place. You never know.
Kurdish? Are you Kurdish?
I don't know, mix, like very, very mix of cultures, Alevis or Kurdish a little bit. I don't know what it is. I don't really believe names, anything, because I studied literature, as I said, and one thing literature taught me is you need to learn the life first and to understand what's going on, what's people talking about. Everything that you're exposed to has a meaning and a reason to be there. And if you don't know why you have a television in your room right now, I don't even watch it. Yeah, there is a error that creates in your mind that you don't understand actually what's going on at the moment. And I don't have any like a grudge on any kind of cultures, because when you look at them, I mean, we are all human beings, and whatever you've done, or I've done, or you think my ancestor done, believe me, you've done too. I mean, there is no way you're gonna do something so unique, gonna be so different than I can do. You have the potential, I can do. And I have the potential.
Ozan, I refuse to talk about who's done who, because that's not the topic. But we know very well who did who. Are you from Diyarbakir?
No, I'm not. But I don't really. It's weird. So I don't know. It's
Yeah, I don't want
I think that I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is kind of a learning experience in the sense that labels really separate. And I
to.
think
Yes.
what Ozan is trying to do, and at 100% agreed. I mean, we have to put our label as human. We're humans, and wherever we're from, whatever culture, whatever, we're not responsible for what other people have done from that culture. And that's something that we need to recognize, number one. Like, we're human
Yes.
beings. And Sona, you're right to recognize his energy, right? That you won't say, "Oh, he's Turkish, therefore he's evil." No, right? You shouldn't do that. So,
Well,
yeah.
well, Carl, I think you misunderstood. I didn't say he has a
Oh,
bad
no, no,
energy.
no, I know, no. I understood what you meant. I agree with you. I agree, Sona. Yeah.
Yes, but Ozan tried to. If I were taking it another direction, I can stop anytime. But if you allow me, I can continue. The thing is, I'll. I apologize. I have to stop this.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to say a
Yeah.
heartfelt Sona heartfelt. I'm really sorry for the genocide related to your family. That has to be a really difficult thing to go through. And I want to really commend you for choosing compassion instead of anger. Because so
Yeah.
many people
Yeah. I
after
have no
having
choice. I have to do that.
well,
But
you're
we have.
right. You're right. But some
Yeah.
people will choose the wrong choice in this life, and in a future life, they'll choose the right choice, which is love and compassion. And if you look at all religious leaders, they're all teaching love and compassion, and religious followers are not always following with love and compassion. And I think we all should. And so I really commend you, Sona, for choosing, compassion. And
Yes.
I'm very confident you're an empath. I'm sure you already know that, but the
Yes,
fact
I
that you
know.
pick up people's energy. So just yeah, I appreciate that you're careful with it. Because it is you have to be careful.
I use compassion because otherwise I wouldn't my both parents, they've lost all their families. They were beheaded, the entire family, both of them. My father, 5 brothers, they were beheaded and by Turkish people. And my father had this crazy and anger at home, and it's passed down from one generation to another. So I think if I do 500 years of therapy, it's not enough, the
Yeah.
trauma that we have in the family. The only thing, I am willing to continue having compassion, and because I don't want to die with anger. The only thing I wish, and I know that it will never happen, and I'm not talking about the Turkish people, I'm talking in general about humanity. When we talk about humanity, and when people say, is one day, are we going to wake up and we're going to find ourselves that there's no war, no genocide? For me, as far as I'm living right now, I don't think we're going to get there, because if the government is not willing to invest money to people with, if someone is a psychopath and in his brain there is some chemical problems, okay? So we cannot teach that person, because that person doesn't know how to regulate. They get satisfaction by cutting a human being into 500 pieces. So that kind of a human being, and if it represents only 1% or 2%, we're talking about 200 million people. 200
Sona,
million. If
Sona,
these people, yes,
do you think people are born that way?
with the chemical problems, yes, the chemical, it's
Do you
proven.
think
They're
people are
do
born like 4-year-old kid wants to cut people into pieces?
if they have a chemical issue in the brain, if you're telling me because they have a bad childhood, yeah, we have a lot of mental
Oh, I
health
agree.
issues
I agree, but that's
related.
that's what I'm saying is it's not how people are born, it's what they come into in their lives that put them in that mindset. It's when they don't have access to the right mental health help, when they don't have
Yeah,
access. Sona, you said something really valuable, and I don't remember if I commented on it before, but that you use ChatGPT for therapy. Well, there have been
yeah.
studies that show that ChatGPT is a better therapist than therapists very often. So that's actually a really smart thing to do. And sorry, Carl, I hope you don't mind me saying
No,
that.
no, 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 that's fine. I mean, y- I'm thinking about this very in a critical way because I think you're both right. I think what Sona was trying to say is that there are people in the human pool where just the way you are. I'm not going to say born, but technically yes, and it doesn't mean that at 4 years old you want to cut people's head off, but that you feel a lack of empathy has been kind of proven that it could be a brain condition.
Yes.
However, one thing you should know though, so it's not technically genetic, but it could be out of people that's beyond Garrett, beyond the environment and the trauma.
Yeah.
However, there's actually been book and research about the fact that there are psychopaths and sociopaths within us who are very successful in life,
Yes.
like CEOs, lawyers. So even though
CEOs
you're a
and surgeons
psychopath,
are
you
the
can
highest
still
on the
be,
psychopath list. Yeah.
yeah, you can still be functioning and be
Function. Yeah.
right, because a psychopath really kind of like can still use like, no, I think Garrett, you mentioned that before, like be in a win-win situation,
Correct.
even though you're not really passionate,
I think I
altruistic.
mentioned like I was actually coaching, volunteer coaching. She couldn't afford to pay an hourly rate, but I was just coaching a person who had, was a psychopath or a sociopath. She just said ASPD, which is the blanket term for both.
Yeah.
And she basically understood that, because she like slammed someone's head into a table because she was annoyed at them and, hurt them badly, and she got in a lot of trouble for that, and she had to go to a psych ward, and she's like, I never want to go back to that place again. I'm not going to do that thing because I know now there are repercussions to doing those things, even though she didn't feel negativity when she did that. It was just like matter of fact, like, well, they pissed me off, so I'm going to slam their head into the ground. Like, she didn't feel bad for doing it, but that doesn't mean that she will continue to do it. When she knows that there are negative repercussions to bad behavior, then she won't do it. And that's what I want to create, is an awareness across all societies that bad behavior will be rewarded with negativity and good behavior will be rewarded with positivity. And, I call that same life karma. And I think that it
Yeah.
happens naturally, but I want to create more awareness that it's true and try to guide people in the direction of good behavior. And we have PhDs in philosophy that are saying there's no such thing as ethics. There's no such thing as morality at all, right? And yet, I think that's ridiculous. Like, we all inherently know right from wrong if we trust our
Yeah.
hearts, but so that's part of what the FTI is about, is helping each of us find the path for what we feel like is right, using our own critical thinking skills and having our own, perspective, which when we share with each other, I find we very often come to the same conclusions.
But I agree with Carl, Garrett, that 100% that there are two types of mental issues. One is that could be childhood trauma, depending on the environment. And the second one has to do with the chemical in the brain that they don't have what you and I have, or the functional psychopath has. So if you're talking about the ones who have the childhood trauma, which I have and I work on it. But the other ones, which they represent 1%, which can be hundreds of millions of people. And these type of people, first, it's hard to detect and they will never admit it. So for that portion, I do not have a lot of hope for that portion. But for the childhood trauma, there is work to be done on it.
I want to give you a little bit of hope, Sona, because the girl that I was coaching, really, she was a psychopath. She was born that way. She never felt negative anything for screwing someone over, for hurting them. She had no negative emotions like her whole life. And yet, when she realized that there were repercussions to doing bad things, she said, I'm not going to do those bad things because bad things are going to happen to me. And, if you actually reason with someone and show them how the best path for them, they do feel happiness. She still felt happiness. She felt good things, and she felt lack of happiness when she was in that psych ward. So she knew, what the right choice was. A lot of people with ASPD are very smart, right? And so they can logic their way into, this is the right behavior that I should do in order to get along with society. And even if it's not because they feel bad for doing bad things, they can still learn to do the good things. Ozan, go ahead.
I'm surprised actually you are deeply into philosophy, because last night I was in this philosophy discussion of Stoics talking like anger in Stoic philosophy, right? And then we were discussing things, and there were a couple of things that really like I can remember that's relatable here. It's like you have the first impression if something bad happened or you heard something terrible happened, you can get that natural instinct of anger, right? But that's kind of other feelings that we have. Let's say we got happy or we got excited or we got scared of something that's just like somebody did a joke or something and then we get scared. And then how long we keep it or what kind of emotion we combine it with together. And I am like, this was my input in that. This is kind of there was this a movie, it's King is making a uh, competition, like a knowledge competition to give his daughter, right? And then ask about what is the which one is the poison in front of you guys. And then there is like a medical doctors coming, this guy is coming, they all dies because they fail, they don't know which one it is. And this obviously our villager guy comes and mix everything together. This is the poison, take it. King is like, oh my God, that's true because I cannot drink it or nobody can try to do that. There is a poison in it. And whatever you put, like put anger with love. Poison, right? Toxic, very toxic. Anger and excitement. Oh my God, you can kill somebody in that immediate. Anger and I don't know, like anger and being scared of something. You might get a heart attack immediately, right? There are different stuff. You can combine anything with anger. The result is terrible.
Negative, yeah.
I think if you
Negative,
allow
yeah, it's not gonna be constructive in a sense. And I don't know, my personal view of life and the cultures, I don't really carry any cultures around me. Obviously, the big influence of it when you think deeper version of like when you try to understand the world around you, you can't run away from the ideas you heard. You can't run away from everything you expose. This is so difficult to be original in the world. And that requires a very big mental strength. And I mean, I disagree with like the things that some people can be like a yeah, some people, but it's not necessarily from some line of race or some line of blood. I mean, in my family, I have all the personality types. And I see my friends here, they have the same thing. Obviously, some families can curate it better than the others, so they don't look like as ugly as my guy, right? My bad guy, or someone's uh, better thinker or the philosopher of the family can be Elon Musk and go ahead and do things or like do innovative things, and not me, but I can do
to finish,
something in the
finish your
sense I
thought.
can in my
Yeah,
own,
yeah.
you know.
Ozan, there is one thing that I think you don't understand because you don't have what we have, the Armenians, because you're confusing anger with trauma. Anger has nothing to do with trauma. Trauma is a long-term exposure to violence. So anger is I'm angry right now because I wasn't eating or my neighbor was not nice to me. But the trauma, it's a multi-generational long-term exposure. So angry has nothing to do with that, number one. Number two, I do believe in karma. I'm born Catholic Christian, but I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any religion. I don't believe in any, I am an atheist, period. It stops there. But I do believe in karma. And why? I do believe in it as a science. For every action, there is a reaction. That's the reason I believe in it, okay? And I'll give you one example. And as much as I'm not talking this to you as a Turkish person, I'm talking to you as a friend right now. I don't have the hate and anger to you. The genocide did happen. We did not invent it. Either if you hate me, you don't hate me, that's your part. You have to work on it. I am working on myself to remove every trauma that I've been through in my life. Okay.
Oh, I don't
So,
hate anything.
so I'm
I
not
love
against
everyone.
you. I'm talking to you as a friend right now. but there is always a reaction for every action, okay? So I'll give you one example. Yesterday, I was in a group. We were trying to figure out why all the wars that happen in the world, okay, people keep saying that this is a good example for you. People always say, oh, you know what Germany did Hitler, okay, to the people, it wasn't the German people, it was Hitler. So as if we are trying to kind of make it softer what happened with the Jewish people compared to what the Turkish did, what the Uganda did, what the Cambodia did. When we talk about all these countries, we never talk the same way
No, no,
we are talking.
try to stay a little calmer. You're getting a little
Yeah,
upset.
I apologize.
It's
So
okay.
I like this topic. That's why I get,
I get
I'm
it.
trying to stay. I apologize for my
Okay.
raising voice. Okay. So why we say to Germany, if you think about it, the Russians, they did crazy stuff. And we always say it's okay that the Germans, it's Hitler. There is only one reason, and I'll tell you why. A year ago, once again, Ozan, you are my friend right now. You're not my enemy. Erdogan told Angela Merkel said to Erdogan, it's about time. It's been 100 years that you guys killed 2 million Armenians. There are so many proofs, and the people are all over the world, And Erdogan turned around and said to Angela Merkel, if there is one person on this earth who cannot talk about genocide, is you, German. And Angela Merkel said to him, you know what, Erdogan, she said, we as German people, we accepted what they did, that we did the genocide. And until today, we are paying financial help to Jewish people. That is why every single person in the world, they talk about Hitler and they do not talk about German people. So what I'm saying, I learned also from Turkish people and the German people that if I do a mistake with my husband at home, there is no way that I'm not going to apologize for it. No way. You apologize, you accept your part. You accept your
Try to
part and
finish
you
your
move on.
thought, Sona. So, so Sona, I think it really is important that we admit our mistakes and learn from them. And I want to give a parable because we're talking about anger and love and compassion. And I want to give a parable that I've given in past events, but I think is very appropriate for tonight. Um, there's an elder, this is a Native American parable, and there's a grandfather who talks to a young person and says, inside each of us, there's a battle between two wolves. One wolf is good and represents things like love, bravery, and kindness. The other wolf is bad and represents things like fear, hatred, and greed. And the elder tells the young person, the young person basically asks the elder, well, which one wins? Which one wins the battle, Grandpa? And he goes, the one you feed the most. And I think it's important for all of us to remember that if we respond to anger with love and compassion, it can quench that fire. It really can if we really embrace love and compassion. And religious leaders around the world have been teaching us that, whether you're religious or not, I'm really not. But I value the wisdom that religion has taught around the world. I just wish more religious adherents would be following that wisdom, and many do, but many don't. And I think it's time for all of us to learn wisdom, whether it's secular wisdom or religious wisdom. We can all learn from all of it, right? Just because we're not religious doesn't mean we can't learn from religious wisdom. And I'm not religious, but I learn from religious wisdom all the time.
Me too. I'm the same. I take anything the Muslim or the Christian gives me positive.
Exactly.
I do take.
Cool. So,
Garrett,
yeah, go ahead.
just want to say I was just seeing love in your video feed right there.
Yes, that's my baby.
She's
who I'm teaching to be a
gorgeous.
programmer
There she
now.
Gorgeous.
is. There
She
she
literally
is.
got one character off from what she wanted today. She came to me for help, and I said, I think there's one thing missing, and then she found it, and she got her HTML right. So she's on HTML. Next up is, once she finishes HTML, it'll be CSS and JavaScript, and then she'll build her own website. She doesn't know that yet, but she'll learn. So, any other questions or topics that people want to talk about? Like we're kind of in the last 10 minutes. I'm curious, was this helpful to people? Was the presentation part or the demo part helpful to people?
Well, may I just say something,
Sure.
Garrett? This is Jenny. I just wanted to say to Sonia, it takes a lot of, I mean, I don't know if it, with her it's courage, but to me, it takes a lot of courage to share some of the things that she shared. And I just wanted to thank her for what she shared. And just hope you, just wish you well. Okay.
I agree. And thank you, Sona, for sharing. And thank you, Ozan, for your also reciprocating that sort of I love seeing people who are supposed to hate each other getting along with each other. And I want to see more of that in the world. You know, on my plate rate team, we have people from Pakistan and we have people from India working hand in hand, like as collaborators. And you know, you have and this is where, Sona, I'm going to kind of agree with you in that I'm going to pull a claim that a lot of times leaders want to divide us, right? And certain leaders want to make someone else the enemy so that they can be the good guy. And I would argue the people we should want to be in positions of power are the ones that unite us, not the ones that divide us and make enemies. No, 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 por favor. We should want leaders and we should elect leaders that want to unite the world as humanity. Someone said we're all human beings, right? We are all human beings. We all care. We all want to be treated well. And if we want to be treated well, we better treat other people well. And that's where people, Sona, you said you believe in karma, even though you're an atheist. People who say they don't believe in, first of all, I try to explain to Christians and Muslims that they believe in karma too. They just think that it's all or nothing after you die. You either go to heaven or hell. Although I think that the Muslim version that you end up going to heaven eventually, you just go through hell. But anyway, but I try to tell anyone that doesn't believe in karma, try insulting every person you meet for an entire day and just continuously insult them and see if they don't treat you poorly back. I bet that most
Oh,
people will treat you poorly back, and that's karma. And it's
well,
indisputable if
yeah,
you try that.
that's my point. For every action, there is a
Yes,
reaction. That's
there
my
is, although
you you don't have to be religious to believe in that sentence.
exactly. And there is, although what I would argue is that we should all be trying to be the best version of ourselves, which means when we have people send hate our way, you know, give them back positivity. And so, you know, when I'm at my best self, I've been in situations where you know, someone was insulting me, you know, like just brutally insulting me like in text chat, right? People tend to be more aggressive, especially anonymous text chat. And I just sent them a private message and I said, "Are you okay? Like, you know, is there anything I could do to be helpful to you? You seem upset." And just coming from a place of compassion. And multiple times I've taken people who hated my guts and then I later became friends with for long periods of time. And so, you know, you can turn people around, but only with love and compassion. You know, you hit someone back harder. I call it a verbal boxing match until someone gets knocked out, right? You just hit back harder, they hit back harder, and eventually someone runs away. And that's not productive for anyone. It doesn't help anyone. But coming back with love and compassion, like you've been saying all night, Sona, I think it's absolutely the right path. And we need to get more people going down that path.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to say the last thing, and I'm going to start. If I apologize if I took a lot of, I kind of monopolized
It's
the
okay.
topic. I apologize. I think I'm going to say that love, compassion, remove hate, but also have boundaries, not to hurt
Yes.
yourself.
You need boundaries, and that's where it's a great point, Sona, because you know we talk about in the what did you do, Laura? You did do something. So she moved around people on my screen. So yes, you did. So you know, Laura, stop.
Okay.
Now she's making me lose what I was gonna say. So
Or
oh, boundaries. So, Laura, para. You know, like I think we should always respond with love and compassion, but if someone is continuously being negative, we have to take care of our own physical and mental health first. And
boundaries.
you know, it's the thing on the airlines where it says put your own face mask on first. You know, some people are so caring and giving that they give so much that they don't take care of their own basic needs. That's not helpful and that's not altruism. you know, self-sacrifice to the point where you're no longer able to help others. So we have to first take care of our own physical and mental health and well-being. Once we've done that, I think it's great to
Mhm.
give to others, especially give more to people who appreciate it at the very least. And those who
Yeah.
give back actually empower you to give more to other people. So give the most to the people who also reciprocate that thoughtfulness and caring and compassion. And then you create a circle of people who are giving towards each other. And that's what the FTI community is intended to be, is a group of people where we know each other really at a deep and profound level. We care about each other and we help each other achieve our goals and form positive habits.
Yeah. I really thank you guys for everything. I just enjoyed I didn't expect to talk about this, but it ended up excellent. I really appreciate every single person in the group.
Thank you. Anyone have other things, questions that they wanted to ask or comments they wanted to mention? Yeah, go ahead, Ozan.
So I actually came this Turkey is like, I know it's same thing to me. Say the Middle East, same thing to me, honestly. And when I look at this, I came from that. Uh, I moved out because there were some elements were missing in my life, and I came here, and some of the elements all also I lost in the way, and I had to discover this here because kind of non-judgmental country, more open-minded people, and when it comes to again anger and different things, I think there are elements. If we had those elements, like when we say that some people are more tend to do this, actually, you know what? They don't have good family. The element is missing. The element of soothing yourself, feeling in peace, if this is missing, and if there are different elements makes the life exist missing in your life, it's kind of very difficult to, I don't know, continue or grow. So I moved here. I'm struggling because I am trying to restructure myself and try to like mirror to my family too. I'm trying to create like a family chat group to, hey guys, just in this group, just talk about positivity, your structure inputs, or whatever is your daily, wins kind of things. So I don't know. I mean, my family also in a minority, so they've been through those struggles too. Like Alevis people, they burn the people in a hotel in Turkey when they disagreed with their enlightenment ideas. It was like opposing the religious norms in the country. So I feel like I feel them, but I also feel like 13th century uh, Islamic philosopher too. I love that guy, and I take like a Jewish guy. I have that couple of my friends in that. I am friend with Shakespeare. I'm friend with some of the very old philosophers. I feel like I can sense them. I can go there, sense them, and I feel like whole again. And I try to choose to become this person. Obviously, I mean, this was my way to explore life. I tried to study, and I made music when I was young. I was always outside trying to socialize with people because you need to, I needed to like get the air out of me to refresh myself and keep myself refreshed because I believe if I can't keep my child inside of me, I am like child right now. I'm like listening to you guys. Oh my God, amazing. Oh, that guy speaks so good. I should be should stay here for a long time or try to keep that, connections with me because I don't know. I like childish way of exploring and forgiving things and trying to keep going on with that good, gains that adds
Yeah.
to me.
I
So,
I want to sort of
I'll
hone
do
in
it.
on one thing you said, Ozan, is that, some people don't have a good family, but as adults, I like to say friends of the family we choose, and we get to choose who we want to be around. And I saw, I don't often get wisdom on Facebook, but I do get it sometimes, and I like to share it when I do. I don't spend much time on Facebook, but every once in a while I jump in and I see something that's cool. And it was basically just talking about how if we surround ourselves with people who are, you know, both realistic but positive, then our lives end up being more positive as well. And I like to say in the FTI, we have a poster that I can share. I should probably add it to the list of links. But there are two sayings that I have that I like to share with people. One is keep your hopes high and your disappointment low. It's the only way to go. And then the second is don't stress, don't rest, just do your best and accept the rest. So, Mike, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, hi. Thank you. I found this very helpful. I would go to ChatGPT for therapy, not to a human. And the reason
Hey, look,
is
it'll never spill your secrets if I mean, theoretically they can use it for learning, but other than that, it's not going to tell your friends and family about anything.
well, I don't know that for sure, but
Yeah.
I think it's not biased like humans, unless I see them trying to, with the auspices of trying to make it safe, trying to bias it a little bit, but I would rather use it as is without any safe guardrails, to be honest with you, ChatGPT. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
No, I think that's a great point, Mike, and I think it's really useful. And one thing is I've only used therapists a little bit in my life, but I find that they tend to not like give advice. When I coach people, I guess it's not even coaching, it's more mentoring. I try to give advice that I think will help add value to their life. Now it's up to them if they want to follow it or not, right? But I at least want to try to help guide people in the right direction. And with ChatGPT, you can either let it just listen to you or you can ask it for tangible advice that you can take action on. It's kind of up to you, like how you want to do it, and it'll do what you say. Jenny, go ahead.
Just one more time, I just want to thank you for this wonderful meeting, Garrett.
Thank you, Jenny.
It served many purposes among distractions. So thank you again. And I still nominate you for the next president of the US. Okay.
You're too kind, Jenny.
Okay. Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night. And I do have to close out because I got to put my girls to bed. Laura was beckoning me earlier. So I do want to thank everybody, though, for the really thoughtful comments, comments, questions, and participation. Thank you guys for being vulnerable, even in a large group. Michael, go ahead. You're on mute.
You're on mute.
You're on mute,
Michael, we can't hear you.
Bear in mind that our Sunday meetings are much like this, but we all know each other's identities much better. It's a very intimate, intelligent, rewarding conversation.
But it's a small group, so everybody
that's
gets
right.
to
So I'll see you on
participate.
Sunday then, Garrett. I hope.
Good. Well, it'll take one extra week, Jenny. You have to apply, and then this coming Sunday we'll vote on new members, and then you would be invited to the following Sunday.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Thanks.
But
Okay.
yeah, I
And
have
Ginny, there are no right and no
concerns.
wrong answers.
Yeah,
It's
there's
a
no wrong
very
answer. We
stressed.
just, it's just trying to understand your perspective on the five intentions, and then, the questions that we ask are, what do you think of each of the five intentions? And if people have valid criticisms of them, we're going to modify them, right? So it's not about dogma. Like I'm a very anti-dogma person, but I also think I like this saying, if you don't stand for anything, then you'll fall for anything. So, if you don't stand for something, then you'll fall for anything. And so I do think it's important to have some idea of like common values, and that's what the five intentions are intended to be. That doesn't mean they're perfect the way they are. We need to improve them. If there's room for improvement, we're going to improve them. And that's what the community is about, is helping make everything better, including each other, the community, the values, etc. So all about continuous improvement. So just want to thank everyone for being a part of tonight. And appreciate everyone coming, the conversation, the questions, the comments, the vulnerability. So thanks everybody. And the love and compassion, keep putting that out in the world. We need more of it. And pray for America tonight, whether you believe in God or not. I can logically defend my concept of God, so I'll tell you, someone's listening. I can't logically defend that he listens to prayers, but I think he probably does. So I would pray. It doesn't hurt to pray, and why not? And pray for things to work out for the best. And let's each do our part to try to make them work out for the best. So thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night, and I will hope to see you guys next week.